Okay, I've clicked go live and it might be connected. It might not as yet. I never quite know when we're connected to YouTube. But as soon as it's connected, I will let you know, Myrthe. Come on. There we go. Right. Just got to mute this in case it isn't already. Where is it? Looks like we're live. Looks like we're live. There we are. Yes, we're live. That's good. And last week, I really confused myself last week and I couldn't find the questions, but I know where they are now. I was thinking, no one's chatting to us. It turned out loads of people were chatting to us, and then I had like loads of questions to get through. But yeah, so lovely to see you, Myrthe. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, good. The weather's beautiful here. How is it in the Netherlands?
Well, it hasn't been really sunny where I live, but it's really hot. It's really hot. It still is. So.
Good, 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 good. Well, at least it's warm. I think we've had really good weather in lockdown. How's it been for you guys with regards to lockdown, and what's your situation?
Yeah, well, it's been challenging, to be honest. I mean, we're still allowed to just go to the supermarket and go outside, go for walks and stuff like that. But yeah, I chose to stay inside as much as possible for myself and for others. Yeah, it's been challenging. Also for my mental health. I mean, I haven't seen any friends in so long, but it's okay. I mean, stuff like this is fun. I mean, that's the highlight of my day.
This would never have happened if lockdown hadn't happened, probably. I wouldn't have had time to do it. So yeah, that's the one positive to come out of it. So guys, if you're just joining us, this is the lovely Myrthe. Now, I met Myrthe back in January, where we're both on Omnipod and both on Omnipod Dash now, because I've got Dash. We met when we were on a panel. We were on a panel for Insulet, weren't we? Chatting about our pumps. And basically what I've discovered, and Myrthe will fill you in better than me, is that Myrthe's really good on social media. Like, she's proper social media savvy. And I've messaged her a couple of times and said, I need you to give me some advice on social media. Like, how do I get more people following me, and what do I need to do? And Myrthe's given me some tips before, but we're going to get them all again tonight. And I've got my notepad and I've got my pen ready to write them all down. And I can see a few of you watching us now. Please do grab a notepad and pen and take some top tips. Let me know you're here, please, as well. Do say hi to us. And myself on the really are listening, because I can see you there.
It's kind of my job as well, which makes it a bit easy, I think. And I just really like.
Is that what you do, full stop? Or
January, I started my own business. I earned some money with it as well. Not directly social. The Instagram platform is how people get to know me. And
great, that's fabulous. What I was going to ask was, tell everyone how old you were when you were diagnosed, and just tell us your diagnosis story, if you don't mind.
I was 5 years old when I was diagnosed, so I don't remember much about it. But I do know that my parents were quite worried. I lost a lot of weight. I was so incredibly thirsty. And I remember my mum telling me that one time she was preparing dinner, and I asked her, is dinner ready? Because I need food right now. And I got really upset with her because it wasn't ready yet. And she got super angry with me. She's like, calm down, it'll be ready in 5 minutes. But I just needed the food. So yeah, she thought that was really weird. Now it makes sense because my blood sugar was probably a bit low. But yeah, it's a long time ago. It's been 18 years. But yeah, I was in the hospital, I think, for 10 days it was. Yeah, and then I just...
10 days is a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was only in for... I've got 4 days in my head, but
yeah,
I don't know. This was 1989, though. 1989, I was diagnosed. And I think now they're even quicker now, though, aren't they? They're straight in and out with them when they diagnose people.
Yeah, it's really strange. Sometimes people just post on social media, oh, I've got diabetes, I was in a hospital today and I'm back home now and I have to learn how to do injections and stuff. Yeah, I was in for 10 days. Although in my mind, it felt like half a year. I think when I was years old, a few years after my diagnosis, I said to my mum, why was I in a hospital for half a year? Because it was such a long time. And she said, no, darling, it was just 10 days. It felt like a really long time.
Well, it would to such a small child, wouldn't it? I was 4, so I was similar age to you when I was diagnosed, and I just remember hiding all the time. I was hiding all the time. Our watching number keeps changing all the time. I think we've got some new people watching now that weren't watching before. So thank you for tuning in. And please do send us your questions. Send us some questions. So Myrthe is very social media savvy, so I'm going to be asking lots of social media questions. And I've got my notepad and pen next to me. So grab yours if you want to learn a little bit about social media, because Myrthe is well tuned into everything that's going on in that world, and it's very good. You're just very good at doing really engaging posts, aren't you, Myrthe?
Yeah, well, I think that's the key to social media, because a lot of people just post and throw anything on there, and I mean, that's great. You should do whatever you want, really, but if you really want to connect with people, you have to basically start the conversation. If you just it's basically the same as us talking right now. I mean, we ask each other questions, and that's how it works on social media as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think I remember you telling me that. I'm going to write that down. So we need to ask questions to start the conversation. That's what you say. I think when I messaged you a little while ago, I think that's one of the things you said to me. It's good to ask questions to get people chatting. So I've written ask questions down. I don't know what this is. I just realised there's already some notes on this page that I'm on, and I'm maybe writing over my husband's notes right now. I'm not sure. I think because of the sunshine, it is very quiet on the channel right now, but we are being watched. So please do ask us some questions. I want to know you there. Don't be shy. Even, in fact, you don't have to ask a question. Just say hi so that we can say hi back to you, because we'd love to do that. Right. Okay. So asking questions, that's a good way to get an engaging post. Also, photos, videos, what works best?
Well, in my if we're talking about Instagram, which is where I'm most active, if we're talking about feed, like the timeline, I don't know if that's really a big difference, but I would just say do whatever makes you feel comfortable, what you think is good to spread the message and talk about what you want to talk about. I usually do photos with well, rather long captions, sometimes a bit shorter ones, or whatever I feel like. But yeah, I think the main thing about social media, a lot of people just Google, okay, how do I have to gain followers and how do I have to gain likes? I've never really looked at it that way. I always thought about what I want to share with the world and what kind of people I want to talk to. What's my target audience? Because if you just get hung up on all these strategies and stuff, it's so important to just be you and be yourself, because in the end people will want to interact with someone they like. I mean, if you just do everything Google says, then you're not really unique, you're not really you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that really does make sense. Just be you. I wrote down the notes I wrote down then, where do whatever makes you comfortable. Sometimes you often do photos with long captions. And then I wrote, what's my target audience, ? And then I put just be you. So that's what I took from what you just said. Which I think is fair enough. I think that's a good shorthand version of that. It's funny, like I find I'm not that savvy on Instagram. I don't know if it's an age, like a generation thing. Like, you're a bit younger than me, aren't you, Myrthe? And I don't know. Like, I seem to be better at getting getting more engagement on Twitter, and I wonder if that's because I'm in my mid-30s and maybe that's more my scene. Do you see a difference in your audience ages or not?
Well, I think that also depends on the target group. I mean, a lot of people who are on Twitter are not on Instagram, vice versa. So if you think that Twitter works best for you and that's where you can really spread your message, then I'd say just focus on that, because you can't do everything really.
Yeah.
To be good at one thing and to really own that, than to do everything and you don't really know what you're doing.
That's the thing. Like I always, when it comes to sharing, like for example, Prick Me Up each week on social media, I try to plug it. I plug it in the I tend to go for the afternoons because I read somewhere that between 1 and 3 is the best time to post. Do you find times of day affect the kind of engagement you get or not?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, because on Instagram, for example, you can create a business account or a creator account. So instead of a regular account where you can't see any statistics, I have a creators account, so I can see when my followers are online and when I can reach the most people, basically.
So what's the difference between a creators and a business account?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it's quite new because last year I had a business account, and then this year I could do a creators account. But basically for businesses, it's really focused on selling a product and stuff like that.
I'm not sure what mine is, whether it's business creator now you've said that.
There's not really a difference. People can't see the difference, and it's just... So Instagram now is really, I don't think there's a huge difference in whether you use a business or a creators account. It's basically the same.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So time of day. So when obviously your account tells you when they're online, but do you notice, is it usually most days, is it apart from maybe, is it like Monday to Friday, is it usually roughly around the same time of day that it gets busiest?
Yeah, basically. So I think after dinner for me, so I usually post around 7 or 8 p.m. Dutch time.
That's why I always do, like after lunch and after tea is when but to be honest, I say that, I try to, but then I've got 2 kids, Myrthe, and like stuff just doesn't often go to plan. So I often forget to post, or like, I'm not that great.
I'll help you with that. So what I do is I create posts whenever I have the time. Sometimes it's a week ahead of when I want to post it. It doesn't really matter. But there is this app called Later. And you can create your Instagram posts in that and then schedule them for a certain time or a day. And
I'm
then
not
it
that
gives
organized. I'm just
but
not organized enough.
But basically, if you feel like, okay, I want to post something now and it's not, for example, it's 11 in the morning and you think, okay, maybe I should post this tonight, you can create the post and then save it and then set a reminder. And then, for example, at 7 p.m., it'll send you a notification and say you can post this now. And you simply click post.
Right.
And it's
because you can't schedule them on Instagram, can you not? Like
no, you can't really schedule them.
You schedule them on Facebook. Right. I was going to say, because you can schedule them on Facebook, can't you? And I think you might be able to do it on Twitter, but you can't on Instagram. That's what I thought. Do you use your stories a lot on Instagram? And
I do. Yeah.
Do you find that yeah, because you've had a break from social media, haven't you?
Yeah, social media break.
How is that?
Because that's another thing. I think it's really important to make it fun, and if you don't like doing it, then just stop for a minute and take care of yourself, and then start doing it when you enjoy it again. Because that's when people will like your content. If you don't like it anymore, it'll just be a huge task to do, and it shouldn't be like that. So I took a break, but usually I'm on my stories every day. I don't share everything, although a lot of people think I do. but no, I don't. Although I do share a lot, I think. If my blood sugar is high and I just want to complain about it, then I share that too. And I try to be very real in my stories. So yeah, if my blood sugar is low and I feel like crying, I'll just do that on camera. Not all the time, not every low blood sugar, but I think it's really important that people realize that I have my bad days too, and it's so easy to compare yourself to others on Instagram. Especially in those stories, people just tend to film whatever they like and all the good news and stuff. So yeah, I try to be really honest.
I get hung up on people posting perfectly, well, almost perfectly straight lines on their graphs. I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate anyone who posts. But then I think I have once posted a line, but that's because I never ever have a straight line, and maybe that's the case with them. They never have a straight line, so they're really excited about it. Like I am like, it's got better recently. Actually, it's got better since I've gone on Dash, because I can. It's because it's in my pocket all the time. I can just put it out and type in a temp basil. Oh, it seems to be flying up. I'll put a temp basil on for it. And to be fair, I've been doing that more this week since my prick me up last week with Jen Greaves, because I was chatting to Jen after we finished doing my live thing, and we were just chatting about diabetes for a bit, and she said obviously I'm not a medical professional, so she was like, don't follow, and I'm not a medical professional, so remember that, guys. But she said when she sees it flying up after she's eaten, she'll put on a temp basil of like 95% for if it's going really high for an hour, if it's just going up a bit for half an hour. She said, and she says she basically acts like her pancreas would. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try that this week. And my lines have been so much better this week from like using temp basil more. I usually used to.
I don't know what I would do without temp basils, really.
Yeah. Well, you see, I only really used to use it if I did exercise or if I was doing a show. Or like unloading the van, things like that when I'm on tour. And that was the only time I ever really used temp basil. But this week, my temp basil's been off and on more than my light switches have. Like it's constant, like it's crazy. But I can see that my lines are getting much straighter, which is the plan. I mean, I've always been like the Himalayas. And I've never lied about it. I'm up and down, up and down. I like carbs. I won't let diabetes determine what I eat, because I'm not letting it control me like that. So I love carbs. We've got a couple more people just joined us. Please say hi to us. Just say hi. You don't have to ask a question if you don't want, but say hi to us, because we're really happy that you're listening to us. So I've got what I'll do, because quite a few people have just joined, I'm just going to go over the bullet points that I've made from Myrthe, what Myrthe's told me about social media so far. So the main things are that you need to ask questions to get people to engage. Ask questions and post whatever you're most comfortable with posting. Don't post stuff that you're not comfortable with. Photos where you can put photos with long captions. That's what Myrthe does a lot of. Sometimes you put short ones out there. You need to know what your target audience is, and you need to just be yourself. You just need to be you. So that's what she said so far, if you've missed it. Hey, Jay. Jay says hi to us. Let's say hi back to Jay. So, yeah, basically, I get annoyed with those social media posts where people are just like, "Oh, I'm such a perfect diabetic." They're not saying that, but that they're trying. I feel like they're showing off, and they're probably not showing off. They're probably just really happy that they're actually having a good day for once. But because I'm not having a good day myself, which is very rare that I have a good day, I get really annoyed with it, and I'm just like, "Oh, shut up, go away."
Yeah, that's why it's so important to communicate honestly. I mean, I have those days the line is completely straight. I'm like, oh, what's going on? But I say that when I take a photo of that, I say, okay, this happens only once a year, maybe.
Yeah.
And exactly. I don't know how it happens, a miracle maybe, but so but I think that's really important to remember, that always be honest and real, because that's what people really appreciate.
Jay is complimenting you on the tips you've given so far. He says, cool tips. So you were saying you use your stories a lot for for talking about what's happening right now and being really honest and crying on them if you need to cry. And I like that. Maybe I should use my stories more. I do struggle though, like, because I feel like I'm always in like 20 million places at once. So I'm like, I'm being mum, I'm trying to do some work, and it's moment because we're stuck at home. I'm like, I'm a cleaner 1 second, and then I'm a cook, and it's just like, and then I'm like, oh, and I need to put some stuff on social media because I need to engage with my followers. I'm like, oh, crying out loud.
Yeah.
There's so much to do.
It's really fun at all times. I mean, if it's too much work for you, I mean, there are other ways to, what you said, like Twitter, it's best for you, then go for that.
I don't know. I do. I like looking at Instagram myself, though. I do like going through and seeing all the different posts. So I will keep investing some time into it for now.
So maybe once you think, okay, I'm going to write a tweet about this, instead of writing it, just say it to the camera and then post it on your Instagram stories. It's much easier to do, really, because you don't have to type it. You can just say it.
Yeah. And to be fair, that's like would be much more suited to me. I mean, I like talking to camera, so that's good. Maybe I will. I'm going to take that tip. I'm gonna write next time. I'm gonna write a tweet. I'm gonna film it instead and put it on my story. Yeah, that's a good idea. So you diagnosed age 5. Have you had like any hilarious mum? No, actually. Have you had, as a type 1, any terrifying moments?
Oh.
Or have you been lucky?
Yeah, well, I had quite a few. I think anyone with type 1 diabetes has them. I mean, but I think the most terrifying moments, I was about, I don't know, I was in primary school. I think I was about 10 years old or something. And I had really scary low blood sugars for a few months. And I don't know why it happened then, like in those few months, but I would just pass out. There was this one time when my mum asked me to check my blood sugar because dinner was almost ready. So I did that. I don't remember anything about this, but I walked over to the sofa and checked my blood sugar there, and then walked back to where we were having dinner. And she said, was it okay? And I said, yeah, it was something like 7.5. I said something that was perfectly fine. And she said, okay, great, well, let's have dinner. So we started eating, and then at one moment I just threw my forks and knives across the table, and it was just, I don't know, I was passing out, and I was just throwing everything around, and my parents had to just push me down on the floor and stuff my mouth with sugar. That was really, really terrifying.
Yeah.
It happened a few times. Not that I was throwing knives and forks. I only happened once, luckily. But they had to call the ambulance, and I was just completely passed out.
I think hypos are terrifying. I think they really are. They really are. No one's a fan of a hypo. It's funny, actually. I just said that, and it just reminded me, as soon as I said that, when I was doing research for Pricks, I interviewed about 40, I think it was around about 40 other people with type 1 or parents of type 1s. Yeah. And then there was one person out of all of those interviews, there was one person that actually enjoyed having a hypo. They're like, don't you think it's cool? It's like you trip in. And I'm like, I don't know, I've never been tripping before, so I don't really know. But they're like, oh yeah, I love having a hypo. And I was just like, okay. And I didn't really know where to go from there, because I'd never really heard people say that. I mean, I went through the rest of the questions, but I just thought that was bizarre, because I just think it's terrifying. I think hypos are awful. And the aftermath of the hypo is awful as well.
Yeah. I can feel whenever a low blood sugar is going to be terrible, or when it's just, okay, this is not fun, but I can deal with it. I can feel it just from the very beginning. I know, okay, this is going to be terrible. And I'm really glad I do, because not a lot of people can feel the low blood sugars and can feel whether it's going to be quite escalated or not. So So that's when I think, okay, this is getting out of hand, I'll just scream, Thomas, help me, my boyfriend. And then he'll just sit next to me and hold me like that and say, drink your apple juice, come on. But yeah, no, it's not fun.
No, I've had, my husband had to once pin me down with his knees. So he had to like straddle me to pin my arms down because apparently I was just like hitting and kicking. Yeah, to pin my arms down with his knees in order to pour Lucozade. He said, I just poured it all over your face, because it was back in the days when Lucozade was still had more sugar in it, so it was a good hypo treatment. And he said I got a knee on one arm, a knee on the other, and he said I was scooping Lucozade, and I just aimed for your mouth. And it worked. It worked in the end. Like, but I was covered in Lucozade obviously when I came round, and then he was telling me that, and I was mortified. I just think it's really like embarrassing. Like I get this kind of sense of like shame if I've managed, and I shouldn't, because it's impossible. Like, it's not my fault. Like, we all try our absolute best, but sometimes just your body decides that it's going to be a bit shit that day, basically. So yeah, but you do.
When I'm in public or whenever, when I'm in a supermarket and I feel my blood sugar dropping, and I think, okay, try to look normal, don't do anything weird. That's when I really struggle.
I remember I had hypo in Sainsbury's, it's a supermarket over here, and I had a trolley full of shopping, and for some reason, while my blood sugar was low, I thought that the sensible thing was, rather than getting some apple juice or whatever in Sainsbury's, was to walk all the way to customer services, ask them to look after my trolley while I walked to my car, which wasn't even that nearby as well, and then gave myself my hypo treatment at the car. I don't know why I did that. Why? What was the logic? Well, obviously, you're not thinking logically when your blood sugar's low. Right. And I should have just grabbed a apple juice off the shelf and just helped myself to it and paid for it at the end, kind of thing. But yeah, just some stupid reason, I thought, I'll get someone to look after my trolley and I'll go to the car.
Yeah.
Idiot. I was thinking, maybe I was looking after the pennies, and I thought, I'll save myself some pennies and I'll go and get my hypo treatment from my glove box. So you've given me some really good tips. Is there anything else that you think is really important to being successful and engaging with people?
So what a lot of people tend to do is they upload a photo, for example, and they write a caption and they ask a question, and it's really good, but how will people be able to find you? How will people be able to find that piece of content? Because every second so much photos and videos are uploaded to Instagram. So I think it's really important to realize that you have to make yourself visible. You have to be out there for people to notice you. So ways to do that is use hashtags, for example. Do some research. What hashtags does your audience use, and how can you use that in your posts? You can also just comment on other people's content. I mean, if someone posts a fun photo or a good caption, just comment on them, and then people will see your name as well, and they think, oh, that's a good comment, who is that? And they click your name, and there you go.
I've been trying to do a bit more of that, because I'm not always good at that. I'm really rubbish at, like, in general life. I'm not very good at commenting on things. Like, I have a WhatsApp group with my best mates, and people will put stuff in there, and I could just put a little message in just so they know that I've seen, but I just think, doesn't matter. I haven't got much to say. But now I thought, no, I need to, when I'm online, if I see something I like, I need to comment and like say, you know what, it's great. Like, because you need to be visible. You're right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And also, stories are really helpful when it comes to that too.
Yeah.
And also, talk to the camera. I mean, a lot of people just post photos in their stories, and I mean, that's okay too, and that's great. But once in a while, talk to the camera, talk to the people who watch your stories, because that's when you can get to connect on a much deeper level, really.
Just written that down. Talk to the camera. I think most of the British people are enjoying the sunshine because they're not chatting. We've got people watching, but they're not saying much. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they're shy. Yeah, we love questions. Do send us a question. Even if it's what did you have for tea? That's fine. We had a barbecue, in case anyone's wondering.
Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, the weather was just so nice, so nice. And yeah, so I was like, well, it's definitely barbecue weather. Let's get some burgers and sausages on the go. Now that's just reminded me, you're also celiac, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
How did, like, that often happens that celiac and type 1 can go hand in hand, doesn't it? There is some sort of connection there. How do you find that, like eating out and things like that?
Yeah, well, it's a bit more difficult. I can't be as spontaneous as I used to be. When friends and family ask me to go out for dinner or something, I always have to do my research. I've got a few spots now where I can go without checking it at first, because I just know it'll be fine. But yeah, it's not as easy. But then again, I don't eat out a lot. Maybe once a month or once every 2 months, but and otherwise, eating at home without gluten, because if you're celiac you can't have gluten. For people who don't know that, it's not that difficult. And I say, because that's my experience, because a lot of people who have celiac, they experience in a whole different way, but for me, I think I was diagnosed, when was it? 4 years ago. So I was living with type 1 for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then I got the diagnosis of celiac, and it's of course you're gonna compare it. I mean, celiac, I don't eat gluten and I'm fine, really. So that's it. For some people that's a lot, but for me, compared to checking your blood sugar, managing diabetes in general, it's much easier. So yeah, and I had so many weird symptoms for so long before I got the diagnosis. So I was just really relieved that there was a cause for all of that. And by just not eating bread and normal pasta, the problem was solved. So I
remember quite a few years ago, probably more than a few years ago, like 10, maybe more years ago, the doctor suggested I tried not eating gluten to see if that was the cause of my thought it was IBS. Went away, don't know what it was, but it didn't make a difference anyway whether I ate gluten or not. So I was quite relieved. But actually, my sister-in-law is celiac as well, and so I think in Britain, a lot of eating out is a lot easier now for celiacs than it was a few years ago, because I think a lot of restaurants, it's quite a common thing now that people don't eat gluten. I think people choose not to eat gluten as well. I think there's quite a lot of people do it for health, like just to be healthier. So yeah, I always say though, I'm always like, oh, I'd hate to be celiac as well as type 1. So I really feel for you there. I do feel for you, because I know how relentless being type 1 is already. And to add just an extra pain in the bum to that.
I've got a collection of 2 autoimmune diseases now, so I'm just waiting for number 3.
No, you're not. Don't say that. You'll jinx it. We've got a couple new people watching us. Send us a question, say hi if you want to. We're talking social media, but we're also talking a little bit about Myrthe, who is type 1, diagnosed age 5, had it for 19 years. Is that right? 19 years. And 18 years. And it's very social media savvy, so I'm getting social media tips. So feel free to ask Myrthe any social media questions. Oh, I've just one of the people that's just tuned in is my daughter. She's just commented and she said, "Hey mum, love you and love what you do." Oh, Melissa, I love you too. Love you loads and loads. Myrthe, say hi to Melissa. She's upstairs on her phone, I think.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I love it when she does that. It's so cute. Right. So talking to the camera, that was the last tip you gave me. We were talking about being visible. I think that's what I need to work more on. I need to work more on posting on my stories. Definitely. Yes, I'm gonna
Write that down.
write that down. Post more on stories. And I always say, like, I'm doing this live thing with King's College London tomorrow. It's a diabetes and psychology thing that I'm doing with them. And I always say, like, they said, "Oh, is there anything we can't talk about?" And I'm like, "No, I'm an open book." But just thinking about that, I am absolutely happy to talk about anything, but I maybe don't talk about it as much. If people ask me, I'll talk about it. Like, maybe I need to give it a bit more rather than waiting to be asked for it, and share a bit more than I already do.
Yeah. Well, what I always think is because when I was younger, I thought I was the only one, and I felt so lonely. And I was really struggling with that.
Yeah,
So
I was the same.
now, whenever I do something with my diabetes or something happens, and I think, okay, well, I would have loved to see that when I was younger, that someone else who is just like me has the same struggles. So
Yeah.
whenever I don't know, sometimes I'm in the car and I have low blood sugar and I can't drive away, I'll just film that and say, "Hey guys."
That is the most frustrating, isn't it? When you just want to set off and you can't because your blood sugar is below 5. And I'm just like, oh my God, I just want to leave. And sometimes it just takes forever. It's been like one of those stubborn laws, and you're just like, well, you just get above 5 now. Do they measure it the same in the Netherlands, or are you like America? How do you measure your blood sugar? Is it 5 point whatever, or
Yeah.
it's the same as here? Cool. I get confused with the American stuff. I don't understand that at all. Oh, my daughter sent another message. I don't know. Mel, I love you. She says, "Yes, I am on my phone." Good English, Mel. And I know that this isn't messages, but I don't care. I don't really know what she's going on about. But love you, Melissa. You don't need to keep commenting, darling. Bless her. So obviously you live with your boyfriend. How long have you two been together?
Almost 5.5 years now.
And this was a question that I was talking to a girl this week who was interviewing me for her it's a performance. Doesn't matter. I was talking to a girl this week, and we were talking about first dates and like introducing, like, how did it go with your boyfriend? Like when you first told him, I guess it went fine because you're still together. Yeah.
Well, the first time we started dating is even longer ago. I was 16, I think.
Wow.
So that's when we had our first date. And at that time, I was so ashamed of my diagnosis and I did not want to talk about it. I always tried to hide my insulin pump somewhere. He did know, but I didn't talk about it a lot. And he just wanted me to open up, and I just didn't know how. So that was a real struggle in the beginning, because he kept fighting, obviously, because we're still here. But it was really hard for me to, once you're at a point that you kind of have to share more with the other person and to be more open about it. It was a real struggle, but I've learned to communicate.
Have you ever had any really kind of ignorant comments? I mean, I'm sure you've had the usual. I'm sure you've had Should you be eating that? Or is it because you used to be fat? Is it because you had too much sugar as a kid? I've heard all of them. I've heard like millions, but have you had any like comments in the past which have really kind of like surprised you?
Well, you know, the regular comments that you just mentioned, I get those a lot. But there was one time I was at a party and I didn't know a lot of people, and there was a woman, and we just had a chat, and yeah, I just talked about what I did with my Instagram and my diagnosis, because somehow we started talking about that. So by then she knew that I was someone with type 1 diabetes. And I thought, okay, great. Now I'm going to have some cake. So bye-bye. So I walked away, and then I was just eating that cake, and she came up to me and she said, "You really should not be eating that." So that was one of those comments that I thought,
wow.
but it's a bit weird. So I said to her, "Well, I can have this. So bye." But the whole evening, she just kept coming up to me and say things like, "Well, why are you checking your blood sugar so much? You shouldn't have eaten that piece of cake, because that's all your own fault. If you just don't eat it, then you don't have to check your blood sugar," and stuff like that. And she just kept coming at me, and I was, that time, I don't know. I always remember that time whenever someone asked me, "Well, do you have any comments that are stuck in your mind?"
I don't know how you kept your cool with her.
No, at one point I was kind of losing it in my head. And my boyfriend saw that, so he grabbed my hand and he just pinched it and he said, "Myrthe, we're going to have a drink now. Come on." And he just took me away, and we just walked to part of the house where no people were there, and we I just screamed and shouted while no one could hear, and he just listened, and then I was okay, and then we just went back to the party. So
See, I don't think I would have been able to stop my mouth. I think I would have like been I would have given it a very quick, loud, shouty lesson.
it was I get an ignorant comment is most people that they mean well. I mean, they just don't have the knowledge.
Oh, it's
So,
just not their fault. No, I get that. But
so
if the
try
fact
to
that she kept
educate
coming
them.
over.
Yeah, I always try to educate them and just tell them in one or two sentences why I can have that food, for example. So that's what I did this time, and I just told her, well, because her brother, or no, her dad had diabetes, but she was about 70 years old herself. So her dad, I mean, he was old. So
Yeah.
the times that he had diabetes, it was much different. So she said, yeah, my dad died because he couldn't eat that and he couldn't eat this. And so she thought that she knew it all. So I tried.
Isn't that wonderful when people tell you about the people who died from it? Isn't it wonderful when people say things like that?
All the ignorant
People.
she just listed them and
Wow.
but yeah, I tried to educate her in a really kind and positive way.
Yeah, I always, if I hear a comment, I like immediately like I'll say, "Oh no, actually that's not true, but I understand why you might have thought that." And I usually, but the fact that she just kept coming over all night, I think I would have lost it with her. I really do. I don't think I would have kept my cool. I think I would have just took it, you know.
If it happened one more time, I think I would have lost my cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good on you for not losing your cool. So we have been on about almost 45 minutes actually. So let's just go over the main points that I've written down, and you tell me if there's anything else that we should be doing on social media in order to engage with more people. So I've got ask questions. I've got ask questions. Do what makes you comfortable. Use photos, and you can use long captions like you do. You need to know your target audience. You need to just be yourself. And I'm going to, next time I'm going to do a tweet, I'm going to film it and put it on my story. You need to be visible. So you need to comment on other people's posts, things like that. Post on your stories, you need to talk to the camera sometimes. And I've got on there, post more stories. Anything else that you think I'm missing from that list?
Well, I think the last thing I would want to say is everyone has their own brand, whether we want to have it or not. I mean, I have my brand, you have your brand.
Yes.
Even if you're not on social media, you have a brand. People have a certain image of you, and you have a certain image of yourself.
Mhm.
And I think it's really important to keep that in mind. Like, what is my brand, and how do I want to communicate that? And is what I am communicating really aligning with the brand that I have in my mind? I mean, I'm quite positive. I think that's one of my characteristics. But if I would post content of my high blood sugars all the time, saying, "Oh, I hate this," or that's not positive.
Yes.
So that doesn't match.
Yes.
So just really keep in mind who you are, and how does that translate to your Instagram account or Twitter account or Facebook, TikTok.
Not too much negative then. I keep thinking I might get a TikTok account. I don't have one right now, but I would have so much fun making them. I would.
I can, but I haven't filmed anything yet. I'm a bit nervous about that.
I'm definitely going to create an account and
Follow you.
and start making some. I think my daughter does it all the time. I've got her account on my phone, so I do occasionally look at stuff on TikTok and just think, I really want to do that. So I think I might create a TikTok account, because that just is me down to a T, really. But I am getting more comments off Melissa. Melissa, you have been our most active watcher tonight. So in terms of sending comments, so well done you, darling. And thank you for tuning in. You have to listen to me all day. You really don't have to listen to me right now. It's fine. But thank you, Myrthe. You've given me loads and loads of really good tips there, and I am definitely going to follow through. I'm going to do more filming what I was about to tweet. I'll probably still tweet it as well, but I'll also film it and put it on Instagram, etc. Yeah, be more visible. I like that. Be more visible and be yourself. Like, they're good. They're good points. Good tips. But I want to say a massive thank you for joining me this week on my 9th Prick Me Up. I can't believe it's my 9th.
Such an honour.
Say that again, Myrthe. What did you say?
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm more thankful for you joining me. Like, really, really am. So if you want to find Myrthe, she is girl on insulin, but the O is a 0.
Yeah.
So at girl on insulin, but the on of O is a 0. Find Myrthe, give her a follow. I mean, she doesn't need loads of followers though, because she's got thousands already. But no, definitely give her a follow. Give Pixel Official a follow as well. Also subscribe to the channel whilst you're here. If you don't already, it'd be great to see you back again, and you can keep in touch and find out what's happening. You'll get notifications when we go live. And I'll be back with Prick Me Up next week. I have a couple of possible guests lined up for next week. I'm not sure which one's going to be next week yet, so I'm not going to announce it until I know for definite. But yes, we'll be back 8 o'clock next week. And in the meantime, everyone stay safe, stay home if you can, and just keep looking after each other and keep well. Thank you for joining myself and Myrthe. Bye, guys.